Hello everybody! Infinite Shinjo here. Welcome to the start of a new series on my channel, and I'm going to simply call it Shinjo Reviews. My main goal with this series is, while I'm watching anime in my spare time, I can go over my thoughts on each individual episode as I watch through them. And this episode is going to be a springboard to see if there's any support for it, and if there is, I'll continue it. If there isn't, oh well. So for this new series, I decided that I'm going to review an anime that I just finished in my spare time. And judging by the title, you know that that anime is Squid Girl. For future reference, if there are going to be more episodes of this, if the support is there, then my thoughts are going to be a lot more gathered with those. But I just wanted to record this, get my thoughts on Squid Girl out. I don't have any notes written for any of this, so if it seems all over the place, that's the reason why. So for starters, Squid Girl is a comedy slice of life anime that was produced by Diamedia in early 2010. I don't know the exact date. The plot of Squid Girl isn't too difficult. The main character, Squid Girl, comes from the ocean and comes to a beach house and decides that she's basically gonna invade the whole world as punishment for humans polluting the ocean. I don't know if she specifically says polluting the ocean, but regardless, my point still stands. While Squid Girl's trying to take over the beach house, nobody believes her because, realistically, if somebody comes to a beach house and says that they're gonna invade the world, you wouldn't believe them either. So she decides to use her tentacles to prove that she actually means business, and proceeds to break a hole wide open in the shop. The two sisters that work at the beach shop do the only logical conclusion: have her work at the beach shop until she gets the money that's needed to fix that hole in the wall. But I think it's safe to say that after 2 seasons and 3 OVA episodes, she's not going to be going anywhere anytime soon. There are a couple of times in the series where they try and pull a fake out of Squid Girl leaving to stay in the ocean, but then she comes back later. But that's really the plot of the show. After that, it's basically random hijinks. Now, normally when I discuss anime in a review sort of format in Let's Talk Anime, I go over the things that I liked first and then the things that I disliked later. But just for this video, I'm going to go over the things that I didn't like about it first, because first of all, I want to end the video on a more positive note, and second of all, there is a lot less that I disliked about it than other series. Before I get into it, let me just say that I watched the dub of Squid Girl, so my thoughts are going to reflect that. Honestly, at first, when one of my subscribers said, "Hey, you should watch Squid Girl, the opening is really catchy," I decided, okay. I watched the first episode, and not even halfway through, I just stopped because all the puns that Squid Girl has is just too much for me at first. And don't get me wrong, some of the puns that they come up with are super hilarious, but they just reuse the same ones over and over. At least a few times in the series, Squid Girl uses some variation of "you gotta be squidding me." Although I do like some of the puns that are more out there, like when she says "swear to COD" or something like that. But honestly, after a few episodes of watching Squid Girl, the fact that all the puns were there became second nature. I'm not sure how they handled it in the sub, but I can imagine it probably wasn't as bad, because I know a lot of dubs tend to use more pun material. Like in an episode of early Pokemon, Ash says Caterpie instead of Caterpie. The other thing that I didn't like is a lot of the characters, after introductions, basically became one note. Eiko's the tomboy character. Chizuru's the older sister. Takeru's the little kid who, for some reason, is there. I really don't know why. Sanae is the stalker. like an anime needed one of them. Cindy and her scientist are basically after the same goal every single time, and Goro is obsessed with Chizuru, and so on and so forth. If you've watched the show, you know basically what all their personalities are after one viewing. But even though I do say that, that doesn't mean that I didn't enjoy some of their performances. Like the OVA episode where Chizuru tries to act more ladylike, and when Eiko and Squid Girl are playing that video game that's basically Isekai incarnate. Even the episode where Sanae decides to dress up in full bodyguard outfit because she wants to protect Squid Girl, but at the same time, she's obsessed with Squid Girl. There were certain moments like that I did enjoy, but most of the time the characters' characteristics were just one note. But those are really the only things that I absolutely disliked from it, so I'll transition into the things that I did like. In a weird way, Squid Girl kind of reminds me of Asobi Asabase that aired last year, because the plot of those shows are roughly similar when you break it down to its simple constructs. You have a simple plot established in episode 1, and then from there, it's just wacky skits. While I do personally feel like Asobi Asabase is better off as far as comedy goes, Squid Girl's up there as well. Although a majority of the skits that are involved are mostly just there because Squid Girl doesn't understand this about the human world, or Squid Girl doesn't understand that about the human world. And even with all that comedy surrounding the show, there were some moments that I just had to step back and think, huh, that's pretty cool. For example, there was an episode in season 1 where Squid Girl learns about ringing somebody's doorbell and then running away, and then them getting confused when they answered it. I don't exactly remember how the scene exactly went, but Squid Girl probably learned it from Takeru because that makes sense. So she rings this random person's doorbell, and then I think it was either Eiko or Chizuru, I want to say it was Chizuru, stops her and says, "Hey, why are you walking away? You rang that doorbell, wait for them to answer." And then from there, Squid Girl basically gets caught up in a trap. The mother answers the door, and Squid Girl comes up with a random lie that says, "Hey, I'm waiting for your kid to get home." And then after that, that parent's kid comes home, Squid Girl runs off with the kid, and basically explains, "Hey, I was trying to pull a prank. I accidentally said that I was your friend even though we've never met, so can you do me this solid?" And in a crazy coincidence, Squid Girl ends up being friends with, realistically, her only real true friend in the show, Kiyome. And that even adds a little bit more comedic value to Sanae in season 2, because now she has Kiyome to compete with. Air quotes intended. But the thing that I like about that scene of Squid Girl becoming friends with Kiyome is the fact that it's a total accident that all that happens. It's almost like they're saying, IRL, friendships just happen randomly sometimes, and before you know it, you're friends with somebody. Plus, I do like that out of everybody in the show, Kiyome's more laid back with, okay, she's gonna use all these random squid puns, talk about invading the earth. Yeah, I'm just gonna go along with it. Realistically, there wasn't a character in this show that I could say that I absolutely hated, because each character got their own little moment to shine, one way or another. After that, it's just a point of characters that were underdeveloped versus some that may have had a little bit too much development. Because characters like Takeru are basically just there, like I said earlier, to serve the purpose of teaching Squid Girl how to do trickery. Although in the later episodes, Takeru does learn how to manipulate Squid Girl in a way to make her do what he wants. But if I would have to pick a favorite character from the show, it would probably have to be Squid Girl. Second, probably Chizuru or Kiyome. I already touched on my thoughts on Kiyome earlier, and she's just a cool character. Like I said, being so adaptable with how wacky Squid Girl can be. And Chizuru just for the fact that she's one of the more terrifying characters in the show. But at the end of the day, Squid Girl gets so much development, a lot more than any other character in the show. She starts off wanting to invade the world and ends up invading everybody's hearts. I think they say something like that in a later episode of Squid Girl actually. But there are even those episodes that shows her development, like the episode where she tries to be a lifeguard and Goro says, well, maybe you're just not cut out for saving people. And then she proceeds to save kids later on in the episode. Needless to say, Squid Girl has definitely become an iconic character, and it's a good thing that her name is the same as the show's title. That way you won't have to remember what the show that she's from is called. Although if you're from Japan, you probably more likely know her as Ika Musume, but same thing regardless. And the last thing that I want to touch on are the openings. With some anime that I watch that have multiple openings, there's at least one out of that bunch that I just sit back and say, you know what? I really wasn't a fan of that opening. But with Squid Girl, all of the openings are very catchy, and I love all three of them. The reason I say all three is because they have an opening for Season 1, an opening for Season 2, and they use a separate opening for all three OVA episodes. The person that suggested for me to watch this anime said that the Season 1 opening is very catchy, and I'm not going to deny that, but I think the Season 2 opening is a lot better in my opinion. Not even to say Season 1's opening isn't good, because I've even found myself humming that at work just because I've watched the show recently. But I just like Season 2's a little bit more. And the opening that they use for the OVA episodes, I honestly hope that they reuse that and put that in for a third season if it ever happens. All three openings are so catchy. But to put it in perspective, I do like all three openings, but Season 2's would be the quickest to be added to my playlist. But those are all my thoughts on Squid Girl, and I hope that you enjoyed. Honestly, I feel like I got out my thoughts a lot better than I planned for them to be, and I can imagine that there's going to be something that I missed, but since I didn't write out any notes for it, that can't be helped. But that was Shinjo's review of Squid Girl. If you liked, make sure to hit that like button down below, subscribe if you want to see more, and most importantly than ever, let me know if you want to see me continue Shinjo reviews. Like I said at the start of this episode, this series will continue going so long as there's support, but otherwise, it's just me using extra time during my day making this when I could be making something else. You can consider this the pilot episode of Shinjo reviews. If this series gets greenlit and continues, then I'll make sure to do episodic reviews for future episodes. I already have a couple of anime lined up on my notes for what I'm going to be watching in my spare time, so if this series is received well, you can look forward to that. But I will see you in my next video. Until then, Momentai. 週末旅行が